Good night, good night, good night. Welcome again to another episode of Fortress Fitness Lifestyle Podcast. And tonight, I just want to say that I have a very excited guest. Some of you all may know him, right? I'm not going to mention his name. I want him to introduce himself. So I want to keep it excited. And he actually becoming a friend and somebody that I have a lot of respect for, right? But I will introduce him and let him do his thing. So I don't want to stay long because tonight I really want to get into the topic tonight. So, folks, let's welcome to on stage Mr. Keenan Monroe. Welcome, my brother. Welcome, my brother. Welcome.
Good evening. Good evening.
Yeah.
Thank you to all your listeners and all your viewers, all the people out there. Thank you for lending me your ear and lending me your eyes and your mind for just a moment so that we could share some information and we could just probably give you a little perspective or a shifted perspective or paradigm of thinking, because it's each one to teach one, right?
Yes.
Well, that's one thing I've learned in this world. Each one to teach one. I have embarked on a journey of being a personal development coach, business consultant, and a few other stuff that I did. But it is because I understand the importance from a personal perspective of why it is so important for each person to be on that part of personal development.
Right. So Keenan, when we spoke before, why I find you a very interested person. I know you would have been, doing your thing before, even before I started this journey on this podcast and this journey I'm on with wellness and fitness and lifestyle and things like that. And I have found in my quest to bring people to change a mindset into a healthier life and a healthier way that is challenging based on the perspective of how we perceive ourselves and what we put in our mouth. And it starts with our brain, start with how we think. So the magazine and this whole movement that I have is mind, body, and soul. So it's not a magazine on aesthetic. It's not a movement on aesthetics or physical alone. And it's all about it start mental. And I know you have a strong hand and a strong understanding the way how we in this hemisphere, this part of the world think in the Caribbean, Trinidad, and we're getting lost more in the western side of it. So, feel free to jump in, give me your thoughts on it, and let's just educate and see if the viewers could at least relate to the conversation we're having tonight.
Well, first I'll say this. A lot of people, they like the term personal development. They would like to believe they're on the journey of personal development. But what does it really mean? What does that term personal development really mean? I have my own personal explanation or meaning that I give myself. And I believe personal development is being in a committed competition with yourself.
Yes, my brother, well said. I have to agree with what you said because, for instance, Keenan, I will meet someone and I say, how things going, how life, I hear Vic, I'm making some changes. I'm on a journey, myself. But they start with, I love it myself. But when I hear that explain what loving yourself means, is either buying clothes or buying a new car and all aesthetics. It don't start with actually the man or the woman in the mirror in the sense of personal development. It's not aesthetics based on material things.
Well, there are levels of what a human being understand their value to be, or who they really are in terms of what they trade in the workplace and they trade with the world of economics around them. Most people, when you ask them, how do you get money? What do you get money for? What do you trade for money? And most people, they will tell you, well, time. I go to work, I punch in, I do whatever I have to do, I punch out. And that is the lowest level of understanding in the world of economics as to what you trade. Because the truth is, bro, we don't trade our time. We trade value. That is why in one company, somebody could work for $100 an hour and somebody else could work for $20 an hour. Time is just a medium used to quantify your value as to how you are going to be remunerated. So if you don't work on increasing your value, your time wouldn't be worth much.
Well, Keon, I, I like how you put that because just now you said that people trade time, right, for money, which is work and get paid, right? But also with that, they're sacrificing the one thing, which is their health, with that time that they're sacrificing, right, for that money. Because at the end of the day, you work for 20 or 30 or 40 years and you sacrifice all that time, not personal development, you sacrifice time, trading time for money. What you realize in the end, you don't have the money that you think the time that they give, one. But worse than that, you actually sacrificing what you cannot get back in the time that you give to the company, which is your health, right? And then you
Listen,
realize that
it's
it can't balance
yeah,
off.
no, listen, it's a setup, bro. Victor, it's a setup. Let me explain the
Yeah,
setup to you. Let me explain the setup to you. The average person that works for a salary, the person pays you enough so that you could show up the next day for work or the next month for sure to work. That's how you get paid. You
yes,
get paid just enough value out of whoever you are so that you could show up for work. And then
yes,
when you show up for work, the average person, middle class, let's look at a middle class person. You want to get a house, you want to get a vehicle, you have 2.5 kids, that's 2 kids and a dog, or whatever, the average family.
yeah.
So no, let's look at it practically now. So then you have to buy groceries, goods for these families. A lot of the time, the system subsidizes the cheapest food made with the. You can remember when water at one time was $5 a bottle and Coca-Cola was $5 a bottle as well.
Yeah. I'm around a while.
System is set up so that the things that are healthy cost more and takes more out of your budget so that you can acquire less. So that as you get older, you have to sacrifice a lot of healthy stuff and replace it with the unhealthy substitutes, sausage, bread, and the items
Yes,
of the
yes, yes,
shelf. Because the grocery is generally cheaper now than the marketplace.
yes.
So then when you do now and you save, you manage to go and work your 30, 40 years, retire at 65, you get a lump sum, then your eyes going bad, your kidney, your liver, your heart, blood pressure,
Diabetes. Yeah.
diabetes. That money that you've managed to save now has to go into medical bills. And it may seem as though it's coincidence, but it's a system set up so that wealth cannot be accumulated and compounded from generation to generation with the masses.
And I agree with you. I agree with you, Keenan, because I've been, listening to a lot of podcasts, not Trinidad and outside there, and it seems that is actually the some people like yourself who actually studying that system realize that is a system set up to repeat that cycle in generation, right? So when you pass that on to the same 2.5 family household you mentioned, the 2 children and a dog, right? It means that once we as an adult and recognize and realize what is happening, the same thing wasn't passed on to us. We're going to pass it on to our children, and the cycle continue, and that's how the generation continue of doing the same thing. Nobody changes, and it is because of what you mentioned there with the groceries and the marketplace, and the grocery being cheaper, and the healthier stuff being priced out of your pocket. It means now the same thing you was buying your household that is unhealthy to stay afloat. Your child will do the same thing. So it's a generation of buying bad, eating bad, and passing on lifestyle disease from generation to generation.
There's a book from a guy called Robert Kiyosaki that I read. It's one of the most amazing and transformative books I've read in my lifetime, which is Rich Dad Poor Dad, which speaks about trained habits that are passed on. And as we are on that topic of personal development and family and habits being passed on, the general household and especially when after the civil rights movement took place, when we fought for our rights to be equal to everyone else, what we did was force our children and encourage them into going and educate themselves as much as possible to go and work for others, and taught our kids how to work for money. And
Yes.
what we lost is the art form of how we could have money working for us. And that is why I will encourage anyone out there that looking to get out of the rat race, or at least create some supplemental income so that you could have a better life and a better lifestyle. Look at that book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad, because it teaches you the key to get out of it is not having to work for money, but how you could have money work for you. Because practical example is when somebody gets paid, you find normally we have triggers. We have triggers, because I found myself in that. Before I read that book, I found myself in that habit of when I would get my salary, when I get my pay, first thing I go in and do is fulfill my wish list.
Yeah.
And it's a hell of a thing, it's automatic. It's something that takes place in the brain, and we'll get into that, which is habits that are formed, and unhealthy habits that are formed by us through repetition, that doesn't feed into our higher selves or our greater good.
Yeah, and yeah, sorry, and to piggyback on that, Keenan, I would have read that Rich Dad Poor Dad as well, right?
Mhm.
And I think, if I'm not mistaken, from 0 to 7 year old, you can train a child. I think after 7 is become challenging, where it is repetition and habits, right? So as an older person, yes, you can change, but it's more drastic, and you have to really tap into your brain and your mind and say, you know what, recognize it first, because that habit's keen on. It's not only in the workplace and the system and that, and it's actually is your whole life, because at the end of the day, when people get a salary, we in Trinidad, we see what has happened. Not bashing the bars and the nightclubs and things like that, but we pre-spend our salary on things that we feel we need to do to keep us satisfied for the hours that we work. And we need to treat ourselves. And what we mean by treating ourselves: splurge on eating the wrong things, splurge on drinking too much. You know what I mean? We do all the wrong things that keep us bonded to go back to try to catch that carrot that we wouldn't catch. You
There's
understand?
another issue at hand that I see, and which is instant gratification, and that has become the name of the mantra of the masses: instant gratification. Because you take a drink, you feel good, your troubles go away for a day or a moment. You feel like you buy a bottle or something, and you feel like a rap star.
Yeah.
And then Monday morning, you're borrowing money to go to work. And this is a real thing that's taking place with persons. There are people right now, the application inside Republic Bank waiting for a loan to go and party for Carnival. And this is
Yeah.
real. There are people
I know
taking out
that. I know
to
that.
impress people for Christmas and for Carnival. Because we have built our society now, social media, and the system itself. It has built people and conditioned them to instant gratification. Delayed gratification is the only thing that could get you out of the race. And what do I mean by delayed gratification? Arnold Schwarzenegger spoke about when he was training and exercising and building up his body. He said, it's the most pain and hurt, because the process, you would know that he's a big strong man. I ain't reached nowhere close to you in terms of that. But you would know the process. To get to where you at, it requires the death of muscle cells to rebuild, to form differently. And this death and rebirth through the body is what builds your body. That's why the term bodybuilder comes out, because you're rebuilding your body. But he said when it is he was going through the process, he would think about the body that he could have through the pain. So the pain became pleasurable to him, because he understood what the pain meant. How much of us understand that by a bit of sacrifice? Because trust me, freedom doesn't come for free, Freedom could only come through sacrifice. And the sacrifice of who you are, for who you want to become, it is not an easy one. And it requires a certain level of understanding of some principles that if you don't employ, you will be running on that treadmill and blaming your environment and everything else. There's a theory called the reflective theory, right? Or the mirror theory, where people, a mirror, you have the image, and then you have the reflection. Let's look at your reflection as being your life, externally, what is represented, and the image being what's in your mind. People want to change the reflection without changing the image. And that is what's going on in the world today. And a lot of social media people try to spew that, hey, there's some silver bullet shortcut method that you can become successful. But if you looking to fix that mirror, that reflection without fixing the image, trust and believe you're in for a lot of disappointment, heartache, and what the world suffering from? Depression, uh, um, high blood pressure, hypertension, all kind of thing. You're giving yourself stress because you working, you hammering away at that mirror, and vexed with the mirror for showing that reflection, but you wouldn't dare deal with the image. You wouldn't dare deal with things that's giving you that reflection.
And you're correct, Keegan, because I have this conversation from time to time amongst some people, and it's like, hey Vic, all the gym people is look good, this and that, And I listen to Arnold Schwarzenegger as well, that same thing you mentioned there. And I just often say to people, when you see male and female looking a particular way, especially for the season coming carnival, it's people who doing it for a long period of time. There's no, yeah, there's no quick fix. Yes, we have those who go to jump on after the Christmas for 2 months and expect to look like someone who's doing it for years, who accepted, through progress, through pain, is progress. As you mentioned just now there. It's years now people looking for this magic pill to take it in the night and get up, looking like somebody who have been laboring in the vineyard, whether it's finances, whether it's business, whether it's successful, right? We tend to only see the end result of someone or someone career doesn't know what they go through. And Arnold correct said what he went through, right? If you have an internal view of how you want to be or who you want to be, the process to get there will never be tedious for you, right? Because sometimes I come from work and I'm tired physically, but for me, right, mentally, I say, it's a gym day. It's not a day that I'm saying I'm going to rest. It's a gym day. No, it's hard for most people, right? So like me, I went to work this morning for 7 o'clock. I finished just now there, and I had to go for 7 again. When this podcast finished, I am going to the gym. Yes.
Oh boy.
That's what I do.
That body is not by chance.
Yes. And I'm just one of many people out there worldwide making a sacrifice. It is have pain. It have mental pain. I do videos saying, one of those days my mind telling me, God, Vic, take a rest now. But you know what? I am my walking brand. I know through pain and sacrifice is progress. And there's a saying that I think one of my motivation speakers said, it's two pains, It's pain of you'll have it, right? There's pain of progress and there's pain of regret, right? You choose which one you want to go through, right?
Choose your pain. You have to choose your pain.
Yeah, 100%, right? The pain of progress were ounces. The pain of regret with pounds. You know what I mean? So choose your pain. So, my brother, we have to send this message out, and it's not about fitness tonight alone. It's about, as you touch about it, it's about personal development mentally and seeing what not just what you're seeing physically in the mirror. There's another something to see, what you mentioned just now. You understand?
Your mind.
Right.
But you're really working on your mind. Oh my goodness.
And one thing I would say again, Keenan, is that a lot of people don't know, and I know you and I had this conversation someday it was. Whilst you mentioned just now working on the muscle and the physical, that's one thing. But a lot of people don't understand mind is something you could work on and change. You could change the way that it was pre-programmed if you really take the time to work on it. Because nobody born big and strong with muscles. Nobody. Right? We over a period of time, repetition, training, being consistent, male or female look a particular way. If you back to that Rajad Poddad, he would have sat down and watched on both sides of the fence based on what was taught to him and realized, but wait now, I need to recondition my mind. And most of us in this world now, especially in our culture now, we tend to just look for the quick fix, the aesthetics. You know what? This trending. I don't want to, I'm not interested in what the long term might be. I'm just looking good now, it's sounding good now. Let's jump on board. Nobody want to labor in the vineyard. Nobody want to sow. Everybody want to reap. You understand? So you actually.
It's simple. It's simple. It's simple.
Mm.
People, the problem is it's so simple, people don't think it's that simple. And let me explain. The key to this whole thing that I've recognized is you need to identify what are successful habits and retrain yourself into successful habits. People have the word habit, and the word habit normally has a negative connotation or a negative way that people think about it. When it is they hear the word habit, they normally think of habit and they think about smoking or drinking or something like that. But the truth of it is that habits are pre-programmed within your subconscious so that you could and would definitely automatically do it when you're not in your conscious mind. Now, I'll tell you this. Most people, when you ask them, most people that I ask, how much time are you conscious during the day? Most people say, well, when I wake up, I'm conscious. So I would say at least 3/4 the 24 hours I conscious. But the funny thing about this is that your consciousness is compartmentalized. Because for you to be conscious or have objective consciousness versus subjective consciousness, it's a line between the two. And studies have shown people are generally between 80 to 95% running.
Yeah, so what's happening is that I see Keegan having some internet problem there.
Subconscious. Sorry,
yeah, I lost.
People
I lost. Yeah, I lost you, Albert. There, you had some connection, so you can.
Sorry
I missed that point there. Yeah,
people think that habits are something that, as I said, that would be negative and stuff. But the thing is, habits are just things that within your subconscious is programmed so that it will automatically produce it. Your brain is developed through however long, whether you believe through the Garden of Eden or through whatever means, that whoever you are in whatever space, the brain has a magnificent device developed into it, which is it loves to save energy. It loves to conserve energy, and the brain uses the most amount of sugar. You know that? The brain uses a lot of the shit. The brain is one of the most fatty organs that we have, and it uses a copious amounts of sugar in order to run. But it runs as efficiently as it possibly can. So it means that it tries to put as much into routines and things that it doesn't have to focus on to do. Think about when last you study and you walk and you think about putting your first foot left, right, balance, coordinate. When last you did that, probably since you probably can't even remember when you stopped thinking about doing that action. You are a child when you stop thinking about that action, but it's something you do every day. Think about when you first learned to drive and you've been conscious of your hand being 10 to 2. And you're looking in your mirror and you're gauging the road. Now, is most of the time we drive texting me on the phone. I ain't telling people to do that, but they're saying plenty of the time you're doing multiple things and driving. Sometimes by the time I reach somewhere, I like, wait now, how I reach here? That is enough, do you?
Yeah. Yes.
Right. Because those things, it's because you have been running on your subconscious programming. Most of the time, somebody tell you hello, and they say, if somebody say poke, what will say? No beef.
Yeah.
Things are programmed into us. Things are programmed, and our minds do this subconscious programming through repetition. So the things that we repeat, the mind understands here what this is a part of the person's life and their lifestyle, and it sinks it deep into the person's what you would call your reptilian brain or the middle brain is what they call that, where a lot of subconscious programmings run in your middle brain. Your prefrontal cortex, where is responsible, the front part of your brain, where is most, where in human beings, if you look at the brain, the human being has one of the most developed prefrontal cortex, which is the part of reasoning and analysis and focus. This is what allows that level of sentiism or being sentient or being aware of me being who I am and you being who you are and contextualizing our environment. But we don't do that for most of the day. Most of the day we run on subconscious programs. So if you don't like what your life is reflecting, it is because your subconscious routines are not successful ones or ones that will bring you success. But your subconscious mind is not aware of that. It's only aware of what you put into it, garbage in, garbage out, healthy in, healthy out. So if you don't take the time and conscious time, let me give you an example. If I want to start to live a better and healthier lifestyle, first thing I need to do is to change, and you said it earlier on, which is the secret sauce. Let me tell you, if you want to know the secret sauces, I'll tell you what the secret sauce is. The secret sauce is programming your self-image. What is your self-image? There's a book called Psycho-Cybernetics that was written, I believe, in the 1970s, where it had a plastic surgeon. And he realized after doing subtle changes on people, sometimes a little hump on a nose or a little mark on the face, and they would totally transform. Their lives would magically totally transform. Within a year time, sometimes they become successful to be who they wanted to be all the time. And to him, they ain't looking much different. But what changed? Their self-image. And he wrote a book, and then he realized neurolinguistical programming and different things they came up with out of that book, which was the understanding that once your mind, your subconscious mind, has an image implanted in there based on you communicating through repetition and through your actions, because your subconscious mind is blind, deaf, and dumb. It relies on you to do things so that it could learn. And then it could reflect who you are back out into the world.
Yes.
So that image of who you want to be it, that's why people say to put images up and like put a vision board, put up images of what you'd like to be. So you find I take a body and I say, you know what, I want to look like Victor in the next year or two. So I had to get a body like Victor and put it on my fridge and say, all right, I go in and embark on that. And then I start to visualize myself with all them muscles. I start to visualize myself, running uphill, becoming that person mentally and programming it into my self-image. And then I have to start doing the actions behind it. But here's the funny thing. I start to eat vegetables, Victor. I put some greens in my brain. On my brain ball. Oh, God. What's this?
Yeah.
I like this. What's this green thing? But I power through it because I have a self-image. I have some determination inside of me. So I say, you know what? I continue it. And the next day, the brain, and here what the brain does do, when you buy the vegetables, your brain starts to picture pizza and fried chicken. And all and you start to watch that green cookie, and you're watching it now like, oh God, where's this boy? Because your brain now telling you, this is not the self-image that I am accustomed to. You're changing the program on me. Where's this? And it will send alarms and start to feed you information to maintain the image that you are now. So then the second day, you eat the greens, it's still boiling. Oh God, it's showing you pizza, burger, chicken, all kind of thing. After about a week or two, if you consistently do it, you find you buy the greens and you find you like the crunch. Your brain say, you know what? I like this crunch, I like how this crunchy. And then you find you go in more often in the toilet and you start to feel a little better and your brain starts to say, you know what? This ain't so bad, And then after a while, when you're programmed into eating healthy, when you go and buy that chicken and burger and thing, your brain starts to go, oh God, what's this? Oh God, this thing will not make me unhealthy. This thing. Because the programming change.
Yeah.
And it's the same person that initially, when you eat the greens, you have the negative reaction. By healthy people, when you eat healthily and then you go and buy some kind of junk food, your brain sends out alarms,
Yeah. And Keegan, what has happened is that, and you actually hit an important topic there, because when I talk to people, or if I'm on a podcast or doing a reel, I tell people it's not an easy process to say, you know what, you're going to start in the morning. It's a walk through the park. It's not a walk through the park, because just what you mentioned there, when I started to change my habits years ago, and your taste bud is like, you just get that, your mind is talking to you, but that thing isn't horrible. Up to this day, I have friends who tell me, Vic, you use it like a squirrel. Healthy food don't taste good. Things are healthy. This is horrible because it's going against just what you mentioned there. You give a perfect example. It's going against the pre-program and the repetition of telling yourself just what I said there and eating all the wrong thing for a long period of time. So when I come, people like me come and say, "Hey, change your habits, now boy. Change your habits, now girl." And you make a start. You say, "Let me eat the vegetables." You say, "Oh God, I think this is oh God," and then you say, "You know what? I can't do this." And I heard this before. I've heard this before. Just the way I said it. So that is why Keenan is that when people go see the doctor and they are diagnosed with diabetes in particular, and the doctor tell them, "Hey, change your diet and exercise, but hold these pills, use the pills, and wean off yourself." Nobody wean off themselves because it's easier to take the pill to suppress something that it could heal permanent after a period of time than exercise, condition your mind to exercise and eat better. That is why we have over 65% Trinbagonian diagnosed with diabetes, because it's easier to say, "You know what? My grandmother lived with it. My mommy lived with it. You know what? I would just pop a pill, and I'm okay." So nobody wants to do as you mentioned, what seemed to be the mindset of God, going to the gym, going exercise. Well, that's hard. That's gosh, you working whole day. How you will get the time, the kids and all. That's what the mind is telling. And
But let them get sick and they then have to do it. That is where the differences be.
Yeah,
A lot
always
of people, yeah. A lot of people, their mindset is reversed. A lot of people mindset, well, if I have this, then I'll be that. Not understanding the mindset has to be, I have to be this, so then I'll have that.
correct.
Whatever it is, be it the
Very
body,
well
be it the
said.
bank account, whatever it
Very well
is,
said.
that
Very well
switch
said.
needs to take place internally. We can't just be relying on the crutch of, well, I don't have this, I don't have time, I don't have the palate, I don't have the body structure, I don't have whatever, so that I can't be that. No, you have to be that so that you can have what you want. Anyone that has been successful that I have spoken to, anyone that I have been around, anyone that I know that as a self-made person, they always tell you that I knew that I would have been this. And that's the difference between a winner and a loser, Victor.
Yes.
The difference between a winner and a loser is simple. A loser is someone that accepts defeat as an excuse. The
Not to
winner is
try.
someone that fails forward. That's just the difference. Because everyone I know has won and lost in life, something or the other. It's the persons that have persistence and commitment. I have a little acronym that I give myself in terms of me even training myself in my own journey of personal development. I call it SACRED. SACRED. The S, people, if you have a pen, take this down. Trust and believe is something you could follow. And it's what you would call, it's not a silver bullet, but what it is, it's a best practice approach. That's the best way I could put it here. Best practice approach. It is a zero failure. This is personal development for dummies. Let's put it like that. Personal development.
Yeah.
For sure. SACRED. S stands for self-image. Work on the image that your subconscious has about you. Visualization. Imagination is the most powerful tool in the universe. We're going to get into that today. I just mentioned it. But imagine, think about and feel who you want to be. Be it, you see the bank account, see the check. It have multiple people talk about the seeing a certain figure in the bank account and the feeling that energy of it being there. Get that implanted into yourself. Image into the person that your mind sees you as, because who you see yourself as consciously has nothing to do with your success rate. It's who your mind sees you as is what you'll end up as. That's just reality. You can't change the reflection. You have to change the image. A, for association, you are the sum of the 5 people you spend the most time with, Victor. Some of the 5 people that you spend the most time with. So if it is you have people around you that speaking only negativity, or people around you that talking about success and nothing successful is taking place in their lives, trust and believe it'll be very difficult for you to come out of that paradigm, because we feed off of each other. If it is 5 people in a room, studies have shown that after a period of time, their tone synchronizes. If it is your heart, if you can hear each other heartbeat, your heartbeats synchronize. Women would often explain that in the workplace after a while, their periods synchronize. It's something energetically where we correspond and work with each other on a genetic, energetic, soul level, mind, body, and soul level. Something where we are connected and interconnected, that we connect and we share attributes on some level. So
Yes,
that's a
and
social.
yes, and yes, and you're right, because I just want to go back a bit what you mentioned before on
Mm-hmm.
the people that the 5 people you surround yourself with, because when you go places like Lady Chancellor or Bamboo Cathedral, you see a lot of groups. People,
Yep.
very rare you see one person by themselves. Now I just tell people, hey, if you have 5 partners or girlfriends or whatever the case may be, and they're not into health and fitness, and you say, you
Mm.
know what, I want to start this journey, it becomes twice as hard, right?
Yeah.
It becomes
Yeah.
twice as hard because
Absolutely.
yes, your bro will say, bro, Friday we are TGI, we
Bold
think
doesn't
whatever.
come at the stone.
Yes. You're right. So you're correct with that. I can tell you that. And that is why you will see now, even for the season coming up for Carnival, you see groups call out of everybody. You might be a big party, yeah, but your 4 friends with you, like, hey, Vic, let it roll. We've been there. You understand? And that's why you just have to, it's a self journey. It's a self reflection, as you mentioned. You gotta say, you know
Mm-hmm.
what? I want have a different image about yourself. And
You have
another
to be
thing,
in competition with
yeah,
yourself.
yes,
I
another thing,
always try to be the
yes.
better version of the self I was yesterday. I have to be a better version of me than yesterday.
And
I'm in
Keenan,
competition with me from yesterday.
yes, I know I want to say this, right? I need to say this. I said to myself years ago, as I age, each year that I go up, I want to have one of the best body at that particular age. I've said that to
Uh,
myself, and I envision myself a certain way. I get to a point now, people that say, "Pick you looking real," but you know what? It don't really, my ego don't really bruise, because guess what? I see myself looking this way a very long time ago.
I get you. I get
Trust
you.
me. I tell you. So what I do now, I'm gonna tell you what I'm doing now. You see the discipline I have in eating and exercising is second to none. I can tell you this. I'm using that discipline now in different parts of my life, with finances, with friendship, with people, with everything. Because you know what? It didn't take me overnight, as you mentioned earlier on. Is repetition, right? Because when I from small, I didn't have this different mindset. I was like everybody else, the 95% who just, whatever program they run with that program. You understand? And it took me, as it actually took me some dark days, been through certain trauma, and say, you know what, I want a different outcome. I want better for myself.
Failing forward,
Yes,
Victor. Failing
yes,
forward.
yes, yes. I failed forward, and I said to myself, "This, I like where I am." So when I looked at myself, I said, "You know what? I like where I am, and where I am was a reflection of what was programmed back then to that day." And I said, "I'm going to change the programming," and this has to do with physical and gym and everything. I talk about other aspect of my life, right? And that is why the vibration, the energy I put out there now land me to some people like yourself and others who have that same mindset of personal development beyond physical reflection. And for this year, my brother, I can tell you this: the kind of people I have met, including yourself, 5 years, 10 years ago, I would have met you all because of I was running with the program that was programmed to me from school, and the parents who didn't have the knowledge to realize that, hey, you can change the program. And because back then, right, I think still in our culture, a lot of us don't know that you could change the program. And you and I is here, well, so born these are ways, take me where I am, you know that we had this already. And that is the worst thing you could say to yourself, because if you say that out in the universe, your mind, as you say, your mind say, oh, yeah, all right, well, let me take it. You understand?
But I've recognized that change really normally comes because of 4 events. One of 4 events normally has to take place for change to come. You hurt enough that you have to. You learn enough that you want to. You see enough that you're inspired to. Or you earn enough that you can afford to. How much of us fall into a category that demands change out of us? And it's a serious question. It's a serious introspective question. Have you hurt enough that you have to? Have you seen enough that you're inspired to? Have you learned enough that you want to? Or have you earned enough that you can afford to? But back to the acronym. I don't want to lose the acronym. Anybody with a pen and paper, take this down. We cover S, self-image. A, association. C, commitment. He just mentioned it just now. His commitment. Commitment, people. Motivation and commitment, they are two sides of a coin, but they are not the same side. Motivation goes like this. It goes like your heartbeat. It fluctuates. It have high days, it have low days. Are you only going to exercise on your high days? Are you going to commit to developing your skill set only on the days that you feel worthy? No. You have to have a commitment so that in the days where you feel the worst, and those days you have to dig deep inside yourself and do the work, get the work done. I have done about 40,000 hours in the line of spiritual studies, work, and personal development. And trust and believe, it had some dark days and dark times in those times. But committed to personal development, and I'll tell you probably why at the end of the program, why I had such a commitment. But the truth is, I have been committed, and commitment requires that dedication and stick-to-itiveness.
Yes.
So, and then you mentioned something earlier on. Yes, you also mentioned, you mentioned in all the things, but I try to compact it for people to understand the acronym. SACRED, SACRED. R stands for routine and repetition. That is the only thing that causes your brain to recognize you want to be something else and reprograms itself. Or as a deceased brethren of mine, Mr. Mohammed Shabazz, God rest his soul, he used to say, washing the brain from the brainwashing. So in order to wash the brain of the brainwashing, you can't empty the brain. Aristotle said, in order to get a clean glass, to get a glass of water clean without emptying it, you just have to keep pouring clean water into the dirty glass until eventually it displaces the old substance. And that is what repetition does. It takes a dirty glass of water and keep pouring clean water into it. Keep pouring, and eventually the displacement takes place and the clean glass of water is there. That is the purpose for repetition. Exercise. People have no idea how important that is to produce your own natural endorphins, the own natural high, to get your body conditioned and well-oiled. Because if your body is not well-oiled, it is hard for you to do anything in this life. Exercise gives you the energy, it gives you the vitality, it gives you that drive internally to get your act together and to, again, through repetition and through building your body, you could then do whatever you want to do is very important. And it also affects, people don't understand, exercise is not about just the muscle changing. Exercise is about targeting your nervous system's activation so that it then does its feedback mechanisms to create a better version of you. It rebuilds you through the nervous system activation. That is what exercise does. So it is very important to exercise. And then you mentioned the last one already, which is diet. What you put into your body affects you. You know how much people suffering from brain fog, Victor, brain fog. And they don't know it's brain fog they're suffering from. A lot of people, they have hormonal imbalances. They have sugar imbalances in their body. They're eating meals where it's too high in protein, too high in carbohydrates, too high, and not enough vegetables, not enough foliage, and not enough live food into your system. Because your body does not just run on chemical nutrients. There's an element in you. There's a study that was done to look at there's something called bioluminescence. You ever heard about that? When you look under certain UV and certain ultraviolet spectrums of light, you see your body giving off an energy. They call it your aura, they call it bioluminescence, but there's an energetic aspects to you. The people in the secret societies call it your vital energy, your vital life force. And you can only get that from eating things that are alive. That is why you're recommended to eat fruits and vegetables and not canned vegetables and canned fruits. You're recommended to eat this stuff that's alive because you then could assimilate the life force or the vital life force in those things, not just the fiber and the zinc and magnesium and and carbohydrates, fats, and all that. No, you need vital life force inside of you also. That's why it's always recommended to eat live stuff. Easiest thing to eat alive. I didn't tell you to go and run down a squirrel and bite it and eat it. I just tell you to eat live, like fruits and vegetables and stuff. Those things really good for you in terms of not just providing nutrients, fiber, but also vital life force. So the sacred, which is self-image, association, commitment, routine, exercise, and diet. If you follow that routine, you follow those instructions based on wherever you want to be, trust and believe, you'll get there.
Yes, and I eat, something I keep I say to my friends and them, and touch on it there. Eat carbs that comes from the earth, not carbs, man-made carbs. Eat fruits and vegetables, and you said it there. You said it there. Eat fruits and vegetables that grow from the ground, not was man-made in a factory, right? And that is why we have all this sickness today, because because 90% of the carbs and the vegetables that people eat now come from labs, from even now.
Or
overcooked, right? So we eat that thing. So all the nutrients in it there.
That is it. We just all upset at that stuff. Even though we say we eating healthy, but we're eating vegetables that soggy, and the vegetables and the spoon looking so. No, that have no vital life force in it.
Correct. And that is what kills it. But you see, again, the programming that was pre-programmed for years is that, you know what? That is the way to go. Because as I keep saying, if you drive east-west corridor, we here in Trinidad, or north-south, how much billboard you seeing with the conversation we have in helping people to healthier lifestyle? No. You're seeing billboard that have things that you're supposed to stay away from. You're seeing hundreds. Yeah? You will see things that... Yes, that's what I see. I just check it. I do it purposely. There's no drive outside of what you and I and some people like us doing. Few scattered people like us. There's no drive
especially in the Caribbean.
In the Caribbean. Yes, to get people healthy or to get people, first of all, is knowledge. What you're speaking about there, that is what we need to get to the household. That is why when I started this movement, and I was on my first interview, Money Edition, was, hey, I am not targeting the gymmers, I'm not targeting the people who go in Savannah and the people who doing the thing already, who trying. I do really targeting them at least trying to reprogram something. But that's just a 10%. We have 90% of everybody else who just sitting down, waiting for the next day and saying, waiting for the disease to come and not knowing you can prevent it up front, It's like the program is so bad, for those who work corporate and government. Nobody likes Monday. I think you know that, right? Nobody likes Monday.
Heart attacks is recorded statistically to be between 8 and 10 on a Monday morning. This is the most amount of heart attacks, and the most amount of takes place between 8 to 10 on a Monday morning.
Because we get up, we go to a job that we don't like, talk to a boss that we hate, right? Get a salary that is not, we believe, not sufficient because you don't get paid for what you really would, right?
You don't get paid. You get paid to come back.
You get paid to come back. And on top of that, it creates stress. And because of the long hours, you're telling yourself you don't have the time to even go for yourself. And I heard that. People say, by the time I finish work, I don't have time for myself just to go home and prepare for the next day. I just hear that. And that happening every single day, or most of the household. And they tell me reach 40. And I know people come to Vic, I know reach 40, and look, doctor tell my blood pressure high, I have diabetes. And it's because you're doing the wrong thing for 20 years. So you mentioned Arnold Schwarzenegger, right? And people like, not just me, but other people who do it over a period of time. The results show after a period of time, and even in the business world, you would have talked to a lot of businessmen, male and female, and the results showing now, but after a period of time.
Absolutely.
It must be after a period of time.
The other day, you spoke about Langston Roach. You went to a seminar, and he was one of the keynote speakers. And he spoke about 7 businesses that he failed before he borrowed some money from his mom and started Langher, in which he then sold now for something like $500 million. But he's failed 7 times. He failed forward.
Yes, he failed. He failed a lot of times, yes. And that was inspiring. At least it was inspiring to me because
No,
it
but
shows.
one of the greatest, yeah, that's one of the greatest stories. But there's a saying from Les Brown, and I play it all the time in my car. You will fail your way to success. That
Yes.
is the
Well,
only way. You can only fail your way to success.
yeah. And I think in the Caribbean here, most of us don't understand that. We look at failure as that's the end of it.
A negative thing. We look at it as negative.
Yeah, it's just a different way. And that same Les Brown. And one of the things, the guy, I forgot his name, who created the light bulb. You know how much time he failed?
Come on,
You know how much time? But I
come
think it's about
on.
900 or it's a big number, right? He failed
Of
umpteen
course.
times,
But
right?
he learns so much ways not to do something.
You just need to get it right once, right? And we
So,
have this pre-pro, and I have to call it pre-programming because you're correct
of course.
that once we fail, we look at failure as, and again, you said that hitting everything on point. You know what? Maybe I've tried something else. So we staying long enough to see anything blossom. Every time we bounce our feet, or and it goes for the gym as well. People start the gym and say, you know what? I got pain and me able to this, I can't keep up with this. I would just either drink something and lose some weight or whatever the case may be. And I keep saying, I don't support any of these crash diets. I don't support any of these pills to lose weight. I don't support it because what it does to your body, your organs, the side effect is more deadly than what they're trying to achieve. They try
Absolutely.
people try going any knife operation. Nothing has proven to work significantly outside of you telling yourself and making that shift in your mind and say, you know what? I am going to change what I'm seeing in the mirror by starting to change in my mind and have a vision of who I want to be, how I want to look, and start there. That's where it started. And it may mean you have to let go some of your friends who have a heavy influence over you, who doing what you don't want to do. You understand? Because
Freedom
I have
don't come for free, Victor. Freedom doesn't come for free. It
have
requires
a cost
sacrifice. It
and
requires
losing
the
some
death of
friends.
who you are for who you have to become.
Well said. And that's correct, my brother. That's well said. And I think most people, it may require giving up a good friend, a brother, a sister, not loving them or not being your family, but you have to give up the lifestyle that create those kind of people to create the environment that you don't want to be part of. Because picture four of us saying, hey, let's go online now, boy. And you decide, you know what, I'm trying to, when we go, it's burgers, it's chicken, it's fries, it's this, it's that. And being the person who try and change, well, what you think, Keenan? Well, all right, just one time, gosh, you out with your boys. Come on, that's how it is going,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
That's how it's go. But if you go with four friends or three friends or two who on the same journey or already before you,
Association.
they
Association.
exactly association, and I think that is a lot of people don't understand. They want to get there, but they're not willing to sacrifice. As you said it, there's no easy way. You have to go through pain. You must go through pain. And the other
There's
side
no
of
easy way in
pain,
this. There's no easy way. The easy way in
yeah,
this is accepting that there's one way, which is you having to stick to it and get through it. The worst thing is how much people win a lotto that stayed rich? They don't,
no, I don't
because
know any.
they get a shock of money with bad habits and routines that didn't create the money, so that you
Yeah,
just do what you're accustomed doing on a bigger level, and then eventually they would blame. It had an interview I saw where they asked a guy who had millions that lost it. The guy asked him, how did it happen? What happened? He said, first slowly, then all at once. And it occurred to me, life on itself operates the same way. How do you gain success? First slowly, then all at once. And it's always a process of habits, and most of the time, not most of the time, all the time, surefire, conditioned habits. And it's conditioned habits that will get you from one stage to the other up, or one stage to the next down. It's always
correct.
conditioned.
It's condition habit. Yeah,
Of conditioned habits, and how to go about reconditioning yourself. sacred. Self-image, association, commitment, routine, exercise, and diet. You stick to that and a vision, because your self-image is rooted in your vision. And if you don't have a vision, and if you don't see where you have to go, where you want to go, then if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything.
Well, it's the same way whereby I think I put up something there is that we just put our trust in people we don't know. For instance, we want to go to the States to jump on a plane, a pilot we don't know, right? Going to a destination that we want to reach, but we don't know if the pilot get heart attack and that's it for everybody. But we just take chance on everybody else, but we don't take a chance on ourselves. And we're known for that, right? We change habits. We change habits because you will go to somebody, and I think you know that because based on somebody's business you do. Hey, I had this business proposal, $5,000. Oh gosh, but since November, people plan to go and take out a loan in the bank to buy costume, right? Costume that come Ash Wednesday, it was nothing. But you go to them with a business proposal, or even this health, there's like, go ahead, any money, now these things are expensive. But we are so conditioned that we must play mass. We must, and I'm bashing it, we must go all these fets. And that, right, we self-conditioned to believe is our culture, and our cultures dictate that we must do this, and we must do this. But the habits, and as I always say, Keenan, our life is a building blocks of habits. We have good habits.
Absolutely.
We have bad habits. And you have to do again, we boil back to the self-reflection, right? And if you realize, you know what, I have more bad habits than good. Nobody can tell you that, you have to tell yourself, you have to see for yourself.
You have to look in the mirror and accept what there. If you don't accept what's in the mirror, nothing can change for you. You have to accept what you're seeing in that mirror. Reflection needs to first be accepted. That's the first stage. But it's something that you said there that people need to grasp, which is your mind shows you stuff. When you was buying your vehicle, Victor, you didn't realize the moment you decided that is the vehicle you wanted. Even if the vehicle passing behind your back, you will have an urge to look around and you'll see a vehicle just like that one.
Yes,
if you want to buy red shoes, then all of a sudden all you see is red shoes. How come? Because your brain recognized through self-imagery of this is what this person desires, this is what I have to have, this is what I have to be. And it then proceeds to go about orchestrating and use you to achieve it, and brings things to your conscious mind so you would see. So if you are programmed to success, this is how it translates. Then all of a sudden you'll meet somebody and you'll ask the right question because your brain recognizes on some subconscious level where 1 billion bits of information is processed, but only 1 of 1 billion is actually processed into the conscious mind. It all stays in the subconscious mind as being processed. But when your subconscious knows you want something, you ask the right question to the right people. You call it synchronicity, where you meet the right people at the right time and ask the right questions. But it's your brain picking out these things throughout the environment as the good or bad, the quotient. How much good and bad habits? What is the self-image? If your self-image is one of our pauper, bet your bottom dollar, it have nothing you could do to get out of it until that self-image change.
Yes.
You will always have the opportunity. You'll always reach just there. How much of us have reached in situations where we just almost achieve, and then we have something to blame that didn't make us achieve it?
Yes.
And that is because of the sub-program. That's because of the sub-routines and what the self-image is. And we self-orchestrate our success or demise. We just need to accept that.
And you see, most of us, Keenan, chase, and you and I know, by tapping into our mind, it's not a chase, it's a track. And I could tell you, the kind of, and I mentioned this earlier on this podcast, the amount of people the kind of people I attract for this year since I started doing what I'm doing, because I know I want to go with this. And the kind of people that I attract, I would not, if I didn't change my mindset on this vision and see myself a particular way, I wouldn't have met people like you and all the other people who support me, who I didn't know 2 years from now, who actually point into this vision that I'm on and see the fruit even before the tree reach full flight of bearing fruit. But I just sit down, Keenan, and see myself on stages. I just see myself doing what I'm doing here in a bigger capacity, right? I will tell you this, I have seen myself doing this podcast in a studio, and it's, as you know, it's happening. I mean, I got somewhere that
Right now,
actually
as
doing
we
that,
speak.
and I can tell you that. So I is a firm believer of attraction, and but first you had to change your mindset, and that's why I told you earlier on. I have tapped into the discipline, realize it right now. I never thought I'd be so disciplined to do it this, do it that. And seeing the results now physically, I say, you know what? My mind, I can do anything. So I use that discipline and that shift in different aspects of my life, and I'm seeing it transforming and attracting the people and places that I need to be in.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
That's how it works. It's a mechanism. It's laws. Just like if you if you jump off a building, don't care how much faith you have, you're going straight down. It's like a law of gravity, and the law of vibration is a real thing.
It
And
is. It
the
is.
funny thing about vibration is this: a lot of people, I'll make you all hip to some real spiritual game here right now. We are so powerful as entities because we consider ourselves human beings, not understanding we are beings being human. We are powerful beings in human form. And what you project out, what you wish for, what you kneel and what you go down on your knees and pray for, your vibration already shifted that, on some level, on some dimensional level, you've already gotten it. But because you're not currently vibrating on the tune, on the song, to reflect that in your life, then life has to go about hammering you through circumstances, normally, initially through loss. And after that, the creation of a void where you could then go through a series of circumstances to hammer you into the vibration and the frequency that you will attract the life that you want. That's why most people, they don't get it, because by the time they reach the point of loss, they go back to the old routines and the old habits. So
Yes.
they go back to the old vibration and the old frequency of the old life that you didn't even want to attract in the first place. But fear. There's a book by a guy called Basil King, Conquest of Fear. Conquest of Fear. It was one of the most powerful big pieces of material I read, which teaches you about having the resilience, having that tapping into that vital life force in you that could transform. That life force in you is responsible for the stars in the sky that you see twinkling and galaxies being formed. That life force inside of you, that spark inside of you, has that energy to do those things. So it could more than transform your own life. But it's about you being committed to it. It is about
Yeah.
that, having
Yeah.
commitment and stick-to-itiveness.
And the thing about it is, so much people are committed to, and it's a different topic. I won't go deep in it because it's controversial. So let's say Christianity, church and Christianity, they committed every Sunday and they're religious, and that's good. And they committed to something that a cause, and that's fine, right? Because they believe in something that is beyond themselves,
Yeah.
right? And they stay committed.
Awesome. That's absolutely awesome. But
That's
religion
great.
doesn't change your attitude. It doesn't change your behavior.
Exactly. That's what I'm coming to, right? And that's why I hear some people say, in the church, some churches, you get, hey, there's the best person, but they ain't talking to the neighbor. They outside of the church, they being someone other than who they are at that particular day, because they don't change personality, right? So the thing about it is, it probably should, but because there's many different direction of those things now, to me, it's not doing what it's supposed to do, right? Because it is a big envelope of different moving parts, different people, different belief outside of the one thing of faith and God Almighty. You understand? So that's a different podcast for us, my brother.
That's
you
a
know?
different podcast. That would be
Yeah,
a different podcast. Trust and believe. As I said, a lot of my earlier life, actually, as I spoke about it, and I don't think we ever actually touched on this. My whole journey started at the age of 20 when I had one of the most traumatic childhoods that somebody could possibly have, to the point where at the age of 20, I drank 2 bottles of pesticide, 20 Panadol multi-symptoms, 20 Motrin. I tried to drown myself and ran in front of a vehicle in one day.
that's a different
So
podcast. We had to come back. Yeah.
not the person here that that knows about just success in life. And yes, and I am pointing my finger and telling you, you small lesser human, you have to do better. I came
No.
from the lowest load and build myself up and learn what needed to be done to do that.
And that is why, Keenan, everybody who come on this podcast in different niche, most people, if not everybody, have a why they are at that point, at that stage. I have a why. I mean, we talked about it already, and what drives me. And it's not a up, it's not a wow moment. It's actually a down moment. More than one. It's loss,
Yeah,
grief, and hurts
yeah,
and all of that. So the thing
yeah.
about it is, now people say, but Vic, you think somebody told me, Vic, you look like you have no problems. You look like you always. I say, look at, but it's fine, it's fine. But don't see the tree when it's flowering. Ask a question because it didn't just no tree just come on the root flowering and bearing fruit.
Boy,
It had to go through a
time is man,
process.
you have to put that before
Right.
it.
Yeah. Right.
Man,
Yeah. Yeah. So what we're gonna do, what we're gonna do, Keaton, is that I know the viewers sitting in the seat and they haven't. I mean, they're learning a lot tonight, and I think we could probably, viewers just letting you know this. Keenan have I mean, an encyclopedia of knowledge in different aspects of personal development. I know him, I met him, and I know one session is not enough for you all. It's not even enough for me. I mean, I was even saying that this so that I'll get others for free, right? But but I'll bring you back, early January because I know the season now.
sure thing, sure
Everybody,
thing, sure.
right? And but also before we go, I just want you to let the viewers know that you are also an entrepreneur, businessman, and some of your ventures that you're working on. We have out there. If you choose to, you can just say it.
Of course, of course. I firstly, my main business is construction. I am a contractor, but I mainly focus on government contracts. I do private contracts as well, but my focus is mainly in government contracts. I also have a doubles business because Trinidad and Tobagonians, and especially African people, we love doubles. And in my opinion, it is a venture that we as African people needs to be involved in. And my goal for that is being able to franchise it out to young entrepreneurs. So I really develop in that business so that I could develop a brand which is We Doubles. You can check us out on Instagram or Facebook or TikTok. You can check us out. It's We Doubles _ TT. It's we are the first persons to have the service where you could go and get your container, where you have your bar and your channel separate. We have over a 250,000 views on one of those videos that's
I
showing
saw
those
it.
things.
I saw it. I
Right,
saw it.
right. We are the first people that are introducing that as a mainstay item in the business. And also, I am developing a nutraceutical company, and which is, for people who don't know, nutraceutical is the herbal supplement market. Because as we were speaking throughout the whole program, if you don't feed yourself the right things that come from the earth, as you said, then we are losing touch with part of ourselves and we're feeding ourselves stuff that it wasn't designed and built to process. So
Yeah.
because of that, I have a passion ever since I was actually in my teens about delving into the nutraceutical market or the herbal supplement market, where we could feed our body the correct nutrients so that it could heal itself. Because really and truly, this is the most magnificent thing the universe knows to date that we have discovered. The human body is the most advanced, technical, marvelous miracle. The human body is the one thing in this universe that is the most special. And because of that, I believe that we need to be more sensitized to the Eastern philosophy of medicine, which is prevention better than cure.
Yes.
So, like right now, I'm dealing with a company called Be Epic, which is run by a real good friend of mine, which one time was a mentee, but now I could say he's almost mentoring me at times. He mentor me at times now. A guy called Keyshawn Vane, who's running the Trinidad Arm. Actually, I have one of the products here. I'm going to take it there, which is a natural testosterone booster. There's stuff that natural detox that help your body to drain it. I have all kind of products. Anybody interested in it? Of course, you could reach out to me through Victor or through the comments or whatever. You could ask a question and I could give you all some more information about it. And it is also an opportunity where you can get involved and make money yourself, as persons could do, in which I believe we all have residual expenses, so we must have residual income. And I'm a big advocate for that. So,
Well, yeah.
and now I'm starting back my drive on social media as an educator and philosopher. I guess I would call myself also a philosopher educator.
You are.
In terms of sharing information, because as we were speaking off air when we initially started, what I have noticed is that the majority of information coming out of the Caribbean is what I would call fast food information, where it's just information that could feed your endorphins and have your brain firing off of information, but nothing that's feeding you, nothing that's giving you nutrients for your mind, for your spirit, to build your body, build your mind, to give you any kind of resilience to deal with the world that we have today. How much of us having the conversation in the Caribbean about AI, technology, Bitcoin, blockchain, the transitioning in the world to electronic payment systems, fiat currency? These are issues that we need to look at as a people, that we can't just wait until government just impose laws and impose things on us, and we just take it and we crumble and that is all. Because the most powerful thing that we have is our own unity, but we don't understand that. In the book, The Republican, that was written by Aristotle and his teacher, which was Socrates, it spoke about the reason why governments and representatives or MPs were created, so that at the time it didn't have technology where single voices could be heard and collated and collected, and a representation of the masses be there. So you find at that time they would elect one person to have the voice of the people, and then they would send them in an arena with other people, and they would make the decisions on behalf of the people. But that system has become corrupted to the point where they are doing their own things in these political entities, and they are having their own agendas being run by private entities and corporations, and they are not having the agenda of the people. But we have technology now where every single human being's voice could be heard and could be collated, and it could be represented to tell them this is what we want, this is what we don't want, and we need to start getting into those conversations.
Yeah, what we're going to do, Keenan, yes, and you and I spoke about this off record, and we're going to have a next podcast on that separately, and we're also going to have one also, and that is interesting because you and I had a long conversation on that the other day, and also the health product that you have there, those natural.
The Epic.
I believe in that. I know you showed me a couple, and I think we need to go through the whole list of what you have there, and I support it because I know it's good. I did the literature on what you gave me, and it's awesome, and there's no side effect as those that come from where, right? So what we're gonna do, maybe first weekend January, or even before the year's end, I could sneak in one more, especially with the products. It's important, right?
Sure.
That product is important, right? So Keenan, I just want to say, I mean, this was awesome. This like we are the block lineman, boy. Talking what we always talk, right? When we meet the barbershop, and we had a big up my boy Tony.
Oh, Tony, right? From Tony, Pro Salon people.
Pro Salon, support me 100%. That's the third wing of the brothers in positive arms who doing wonders. Pro Salon is a matter of fact, big up to my boy Tony, the best barber to me.
Hey, he is the best barber I know, bro. Yes. I know, hands down. Right? That's Tits Laundry in Barataria on the main road. You all should pop in and get blessed by a haircut. Trust and believe. I ain't lying to tell you, I just get vexed every time I study. I lose my hair. My head no longer bald and it's screaming now. But when I had hair, boy, oh gosh, boy.
Well, same here, because he trimmed me when I had hair. So I mean, we just had to go for a script now. So it is what it is.
It's just a script now.
It's just a script now, right?
Again, the next thing that thing.
Yeah. So Keenan boy, next 2 weeks, we will link up.
For sure. It was awesome. Thank you for having me here. Thank you so much.